my goodness. Now, y'all don't know the backstory, but I would not be where I am today without the support of people like Color Me Courtney. I started out as a fan, I became a friend, and now I feel that I'm a colleague with her in the social media space. I want to thank all of you so much for being here tonight. This is an incredibly important moment. I want to thank REACH LA, shout out to them. I want to thank Sister Tiara Jelks, who I know worked so hard to make this night so beautiful and the smashing success that it is. But first, I want all of us to take a deep breath, something that we're not often asked to do. Let's do it together. Breathe in and breathe out, preferably not on your neighbor. I know tonight is so vibrant and so beautiful and so impressive, but I want you to pause and consider the severity and the devastation of the current political moment that we find ourselves in. Perhaps you are somebody who's anxious and has intrusive thoughts like me, so you don't have to think about it. It just kind of pops in every now and again. But today, I went to one of my great aunt's birthday parties, and I have many great aunts. I'm blessed to have so many, many family members. And there I was talking to my great aunt Isabel. And she told me that this moment that we're in today, where we see transgender people being erased off the map, being erased from Stonewall, a movement that would not have existed without Sylvia Rivera and Marsha P. Johnson. A moment in which the State Department refuses to acknowledge that transgender and non-binary people exist, even though they have existed long before the state gave them any form of validation. That this moment reminded my great aunt Isabel of the moment right before Japanese Americans were incarcerated during World War II. When she remembered her classmates, now some of you might know, so we'll get smarter in seconds, that during segregation, white students were segregated because of the white supremacist belief that white people needed to be separate, right? That's the whole thing with DEI, was that we were trying to mitigate those things. But it was this idea that people needed to be separate. So the folks who went to school with black people included Japanese people, included Latinos, included anyone who was not white. And the next day, after that executive order was issued by President Roosevelt, there were no Japanese students at school. The local grocery store that my auntie Isabel used to go to when she was a little girl, that my grandmother Verna Jean used to go to when she was a little girl, was run by a Japanese gentleman, Mr. Nishimoto. And one day, she was asked by her mother to go to that grocery store, and that grocery store was closed. Now, my great-grandmother did not believe them when they came back and said, sorry, Grandma, sorry, Mama, the grocery store is closed. They thought that they were, playing hooky, not doing anything right. And it was in that moment that they realized that this political moment had shifted, that suddenly it was okay to turn against your neighbor. And we are in that moment right now, where we are being asked on a constant basis to validate the dehumanization of our friends and family members. When we're being asked to say that transgender people shouldn't exist when they exist. That we are being asked to say that our Latino friends and family members should not be in this country when many of them did not cross the border crossed them. We are being asked to turn a blind eye to our transgender friends and family members not being able to get the care that they need to live under the guise of it protecting someone. And so all that to say, I am so honored to receive the Activist with Impact Award, but I also want to tell you that being an activist is something that we all can do. We can decide to make the world a more colorful place like my friend Courtney does on a constant basis. We can decide to make the world more educated. We can decide to make the world more musical like our lovely orchestra does here. We can take the action. All you need to do is determine what your interests are and your talents are and connect that with something happening in the world that you cannot turn a blind eye to. My parents are here tonight. Thank you, Mama and Papa Imani. When I asked my parents to be here, I don't think I had anticipated having them here where a giant dildo would be swirled around to bless the space. But they were good sports. Thank you to the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence. When I came out to my mother at 15 years old as a lesbian, that's my husband in the back, so it didn't work out that way. Turns out I'm bisexual. It happens to the best of us. I remember my mom and my dad wanting to make sure that I felt comfortable, that I felt like I could be myself. Sometimes that turned into my parents talking to me way too much about sex positivity, and now I'm Muslim. It happens. Real story. But that's a form of activism too. We all have someone in our lives, whether they be an elder, whether they be a young person, who needs us to show up as our full selves at full blast, at full volume, so they can see us and hear us and know that we are out there, so that they have somebody who they know can relate to them, can see them, and can support them. And so as I accept this Activist with Impact award, I want to invite you to also be an activist with impact. It's something that we all have the capability and capacity to do. Growing up, I never felt smart. I created a show called Smarter in Seconds, and now I'm known for helping people get smarter. Thank you. At some point, there may have been a passion that you had, and somebody in the world may have tried to take that away from you, made fun of you for it. Please know that that's your superpower. Please know that we need that more now than ever before. And I'll just leave you with this. There was a young woman at the bar when I got up to get my little ginger ale. And she asked me if she looked out of place. And I asked her if she felt out of place, and she said she did. And girl, I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but I told her that if she felt out of place, it was because white supremacy and patriarchy had convinced her that she did not belong. But do not let the powers that be convince you that you do not belong, because you do. And you have belonged far longer than these powers have existed. Thank you.